1. A day in the life of a manager on duty. Mod report. Hotel name, Wilton. Date, February 26th, 2025. Shift, evening. Because apparently chaos doesn't sleep. 1. Guest interactions. Guest in room 204 called the front desk at 3:15 a.m. to report that their fridge was making suspicious noises. Upon investigation, it was just the ice maker. Guest then asked if we could ask the fridge to keep it down. I politely informed them that the fridge is a rebel and doesn't take requests. Guest in room 311 demanded a room change because their current room was too rectangular. They insisted on a more circular vibe. Sadly, we are fresh out of yurts. A group in room 412 ordered 12 pizzas at midnight, right on, and then called to complain that the elevator smelled like pepperoni. I suggest they blame their life choices, not the elevator. 2. Maintenance issues. The pool is temporarily closed because someone tried to recreate the Titanic scene on the inflatable flamingo. The flamingo survived, but Dignity did not. The ice machine on the 3rd floor is out of order, another rebel, eh? A guest attempted to fix it themselves using a butter knife, and a dream. They failed. The butter knife is now in custody. 3. Staff highlights. Jerry from housekeeping found a guest pet hedgehog hiding in the laundry cart. The hedgehog, now named Spike Lee, has been reunited with its owner. Jerry is demanding a raise for his exotic animal handling skills. Linda at the front desk successfully convinced a guest that our Do Not Disturb signs are infused with calming essential oils. The guest bought 3 to take home. Chef Marco accidentally set off the fire alarm while trying to flambe a dessert. The guests thought it was a fire drill and lined up in the lobby with their luggage. Free s'mores were offered as compensation. 4. Miscellaneous. A guest left a 5-star review praising our haunted vibes and hearing the ice machine at night. We're considering leaning into this and offering ghost tours. The vending machine ate someone's dollar, and they wrote a strongly worded note calling it a heartless capitalist. The machine has been cancelled. A wedding party in the ballroom accidentally ordered 200 balloons instead of 20. The lobby now looks like a clown's fever dream. Closing notes. All in all, a relatively calm evening at the Wilton. No fires, no floods, and only one minor existential crisis, mine. Tomorrow's goal: convince guests that the ice machine is not, in fact, haunted. Signed, Manager on Duty and Part-Time Fridge Whisperer. 2. So here are some stories I have permanently saved in my mind from months ago. Buckle up, grab some popcorn and a drink, because this'll be a little long. The first one. It was just a normal day dealing with the public, when 2 younger women I had checked in just a little bit ago come up to the front desk to let me know the room was dirty. It had someone's belongings like luggage and other personal items still in it. In that moment I thought, what? Did someone leave their stuff behind? Is the room dirty? Why was the room marked clean? So I go over with them and open the room to investigate, thinking maybe it was dirty and hadn't been cleaned. But no, there were previous guest belongings all over the room, like they had just stepped out. So I understandably felt bad for them. They just wanted a room to check into. But guess what? We were sold out. Of course we were. How happy a day. So here I am dealing with 2 angry guests, whilst also trying to figure out who these people are in the room. And where are they? And why, for the love of all things, why the room was marked clean? So I am going back and forth trying to come up with a solution. And here the lady's father comes down from his room. He booked the room for his kids. He's asking what's going on because his kids had to come up and stay in his room due to me taking too long to find a solution. And he was upset that they had to wait too long. I said to him, I'm really sorry, sir. I don't know why it would let you book a room that we don't have, especially since the room is unavailable. I can cancel the reservation free of charge for you. This grown man, old enough to be my dad, says, "Well, no. If it let me book it, you have to accommodate us. Because hotels don't just do that. I've been staying at this brand for years and never had this problem." We went back and forth, and his jovialness slowly went away as he went into dad mode. He then said to me, "Well, as a father, I couldn't let my daughter just have no place to stay. I'm pretty sure your dad wouldn't want that for you. He'd want to protect you. The same for my kids. Your kids are the same age as me, and I can take care of myself. I don't need my parents coddling me, but anyways, well, you need to find my kids accommodations, and how could it show you that the room is available when you don't have it?" I then explained again and again that we're sold out, and I don't know why the system shows we have rooms when we don't have them. He went back to, well, why would we allow them to book? Finally, my houseman was able to find an older room that just needed to be freshened up with some minor maintenance issues. Keep in mind, as well, during all of this, he got more and more aggressive and put himself more and more into the front desk space. He finally accepted, and I gave him the keys, but then he asked me a question. I remember looking around because, 1, that's what some people do when they think. 2, this man's twice my size, and has been berating me and not listening to me for over an hour, so my nerves were shot. I answered, and he laughed. I made no joke, though. "You want a piece of advice?" I looked at him like, "Okay." He then leaned in some. "You really need to give people eye contact when you talk to them. You were looking around all evening. Doesn't look good." I then smiled and said, "I've worked customer service for quite a while, so I'm fine, but thanks for your input." He then looked annoyed. "Well, I've managed people and dealt in customer service for decades. And I'd always teach my employees not to do that." Yeah, you must have been a joy to work under. I just smiled again, and repeated myself from earlier. He stomped off to his room, and after that, but not before, he bought beer and tried to make light conversation, like he hadn't just insulted me. Second story. It was another normal night as well, nothing too much. I had this family come to check in. I asked them the name like usual. I go to search it up, nothing. Ask for their reservation ID, nothing. Last name? Nothing. Every possible way to spin it, I could not find the reservation. She showed me her email that we sent, and she was at the right hotel, so I let the guest know to maybe call customer support because I couldn't do much, hoping that customer support could find her reservation and cancel or move her to another hotel for her convenience. She stared at me and laughed.
"You want me to call for your guy's mistake?"
Yes, that's my manager's policy. We don't do calling for guests. And also, isn't that a privacy concern? Anyways, she takes major offense, but calls. And I get in contact with the help desk chat side, because for some reason our front desk phone refuses to be able to dial any other digits besides the first set of numbers. So automated menus. Ha! Good luck. I don't know why. I don't know how. So I'm going back and forth with the chat support trying to figure out what's wrong and if they can fix it. I then get a call from customer support to explain the situation. After a bit of annoyance from the customer support on repeat saying, "Why don't you call the help desk?" I then state, "Okay." Put them on hold and close the chat support because they were not solving it, just asking me about a part of the system I didn't know and I had never been taught of. And in general, a huge waste of mine and the guest's time. So I then had to call the help desk on my personal phone, another reason I didn't want to call. So here I am, trying to keep an eye on the rapidly growing impatient woman, the customer support agent, and the help desk. Now mind you, this lady, shortly before this came up, and I had heard mentioned if they could cancel. I then just asked her because, 1, I can't just cancel her reservation even if it was in front of me without her permission. 2, it was literally not in front of me. Would you like to cancel? She then screams at me and I quote, "I don't know.
Isn't it for you or the customer support agent to decide? You guys have all the power. Me and my family drove for hours to get here, and we're suffering because of your system.
She then starts having a mental breakdown as her small children try to comfort her. Her husband not doing anything, mind you. Then, right when I finally got through to the help desk, she decides she wants to cancel and make a new reservation. I let her know we can, and I say my awkward goodbyes to the help desk agent I was just transferred to. She then cancels it on her end, berates the customer support agent more to make sure she doesn't get charged. Mind you, she could have cancelled, been moved to another hotel all within 40 or so minutes. There are tons of hotels in the area. She was not forced to stay here, but she used the excuse of, "We're tired, and if it wasn't for my kids, we wouldn't stay here." So we start the check-in process, and she asks, "Will I receive any type of compensation for your guys' mistake?" I then say I'll check with management, i.e., no. She then comes down again because she saw a bug in her room and she wanted to be moved. The lady, the bug, was quite happy in the room. I asked if she wanted anywhere in particular. Then she said, "Wherever, just somewhere away from bugs." She also had her family on the same floor she was fleeing from. That's why I asked her originally. But since she didn't care, I moved her as far away from the bug as possible. She then left and I heard nothing else, until I saw what she wrote about me in regards to her stay. Apparently, she never experienced this type of horrible customer service. And she's worked in it before, so she knows what good customer service is. Her hands were tied the entire time. Kinky. I was purposely separating her from her family by putting her far away from them, i.e. away from the bug. And she saw another bug in her second room, and of course she never let me know. Oh, and she never received her discount. TLDR, her version, worst hotel, and I, the worst FDA. 3. I used to work at a mom-and-pop type beach motel with 44 rooms. Here are my stories. The 3 guys who stayed in a 1-king bedroom, who decided to clean fish in said room and throw the organs and scales across every surface. I would not wish cleaning 1,000 tiny dried-on scales off a tile floor upon my worst enemy. Oh yeah, and they also did not use the TP in the room. They communally wiped their poopy butts on the sheet from the bed and left it in the corner of the room. The other poop guy, he just left every surface coated in it. It smelled awful. The guy who decided to try to stay 2 days late, do coke, and smoke in the room, we had to call the cops on him, and he screamed at me for kicking him out. Well, that guy knew how to have a good time. The guy the police came looking for who shimmied down from the second-floor balcony and drove away. At least, that's what I think happened. The 2 old ladies who sat in the pool for 12 hours a day and didn't use the shower in their room once. Not once, for 2 weeks. Asked me to mop and sweep, but refused to pick up personal items that were strewn so I could do so. Citing that it was my job, they threw crushed chips all over the floor in retaliation when I refused. The lady who left more open food in the sheets on her bed than a Costco has on the shelves had piles upon piles of mail, all addressed to different people stacked about knee-high on the floor. Well, chef in the sheets, postmaster on the streets. Multiple household items like fans, etc. She had a one-night stay. She did this in one night. She disappeared for 2 days, left all her stuff, called us back, and extended her stay for a week, after multiple voicemails warning her that we would dispose of the items left in the room if she did not return. After the week was up, she disappeared again, leaving behind a huge pile of junk. It was the slow season, so we got the food out, but left the personal items in for a month in case she wanted them. She calls back a few months later asking for it. I told her we threw it all away, to which she informed me that she had a stroke and needed all of it back. I told her no. I probably have more, but that's off the top of my head. People disturb me. 4. I currently work in a hotel I have been with for a year and a half. Was prep for a few months until we needed a sous and I got promoted. We've had trouble replacing the restaurant prep for a few reasons. 1. We keep hiring people with no experience. 2. The other sous chef works mornings with them. 3. No one pays attention and everyone gets annoyed when prep asks a question. We've gone through 5 prep cooks since I switched. I'll get the occasional morning where I'll help and I'll show them my expectations with prep. And it helps, but the other sous chef continues to complain that they don't know anything and refuses to help until we fire them. Yes, because they were shot out of the womb knowing how to be a sous chef. But I often get the morning because we don't have a prep cook and other sous chef is off or sick. He is somehow always sick whenever we don't have prep. Now with all this, and since I've stepped up having to watch over and learn everything, I've noticed the other cooks and sous chef continuously forget to look at what banquets we have coming up throughout the week, and meats rarely get pulled on time. I'll go through it all and leave notes on the whiteboard when to pull what, and it gets ignored if I'm not in to do it. Even if I ask specific cooks to do it on my days off. Sounds like the wrong people are being fired. Sous chef insists leaving chicken, steak, fish, bacon out at room temperature from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. when I come in to cook is fine. The other cooks are following his lead and keep forgetting to do their freezer pulls. I've brought this issue up to another chef and he is getting upset about not doing anything. I've started just throwing out hundreds of dollars of product, but I'm not serving food that can harm or kill someone and telling the chef. He is angry at the others because of the amount of waste, but agrees with me it's better to be safe. As nothing has changed, even with 2 months of all the waste, I've started looking for other jobs. I want to improve the kitchen, but how when I feel like I'm the only one who cares about serving safe food? Because of my rants and yelling about it, some of the other cooks will now walk around the kitchen before I come in to put the meats away. I come in early sometimes and see them doing it. Plus, even if I don't see it, I can feel the chicken that was pulled that day is completely thawed by 2 p.m. But they're still being left out. During Christmas, I had a fight about this with the other sous chef. His big comeback he's been praising himself for since is, "I haven't killed anyone." But honestly, how often he leaves meats out and how a lot of people who come into our restaurant are elderly or sick. He probably has had a hand in a few deaths. I'm constantly debating calling the health unit, do it, and reporting us, but anxious of others retaliating as I'm the only one who says anything, and everyone will know it was me, waiting until I have another job lined up, but only just started looking, and anxious to start somewhere new. Update. I've put in my 2 weeks' notice, and have gotten a job at a sports bar-like place. Started applying the night I made the original post. Dude I was training with has done a crap ton of schooling and training and was talking about all the safe food handling and explaining everything. I'm excited to be in a new place and start fresh with people that understand and care as much as I do. I was the second youngest guy there, but that just means these guys have a lot more experience and can help teach me their tricks. For some reason though, 3 of the guys kept calling me a different name. One guy said sorry I looked like someone who used to work there. I was responding though as it was my middle name. I was so confused how they knew that until he explained. 5. It's Friday night, and I only have one arrival left. High-tier member called ahead to let me know they were arriving around 3 a.m. Love it when they tell me things so I can do my job. There are some guests hanging out in the lobby, but they're quiet and just minding their own business, so I don't shoo them away. Though they are at my favorite table where I like to set up my laptop. In walks this woman. She says she has a reservation. It doesn't come up right away. I ask her how long ago she made it. 10 minutes ago. Okay, probably a third party. So I'm already getting ready for a headache, just in case. Okay, it probably just isn't showing up yet. Let me refresh my page and it should be up very soon. It does indeed pop up after about 30 seconds. Third party, as suspected. Standard double queen room. I get them checked in. A few minutes later, she, her husband, and their kids head upstairs, and I start working on the breakfast area, making sure all the coffee stuff, utensils, napkins, etc. are stocked for breakfast. 10 minutes later, the phone rings. It's the lady that just checked in. "Hi, our room was supposed to have a pull-out sofa, and it doesn't." I tell her I'll look into it and call her back. She says she'll just come down because I'm gonna need to move her to a new room anyway. And I kinda just tell her she can come downstairs if she wants. So I pull up her reservation. Pretty sure she's not supposed to have a sofa bed because our standard rooms don't have them, only the suites. And we're sold out of those. She arrives at the desk with her husband and 4 teenage daughters. Cue the arguments. She wants a 2-queen room with a sofa bed. We're sold out of those. She asks how we're going to make this right. I give her a few options. I can sell her a second room. We have another property from the same brand, but they're long-term stay and they usually have bigger rooms that can accommodate more people. She wants me to cancel it. I can't. The third party has to cancel it. And when they call, I can approve not charging the late cancellation fee. She wants me to give her a second room for free. Ha! And I tell her I can't do that. "Well, I want to speak to your manager." Of course you do. But I'm not calling them in the middle of the night, so they can tell you the same thing I'm telling you. So I tell her the manager isn't available, and she goes, "Well, who do you call if there's an emergency?" I can call my GM or AGM, but they wouldn't consider this an emergency. Ooh, she's big mad now. She finally ends up trying to call her third party, but can't reach anyone. I call over to the other property to see if they have a space, and they do. She abruptly turns around and decided to stay. She had not been looking at me this whole time. They're quiet the rest of the night. I notate it in my report, thinking they're gonna complain, but when I come back the next night, the AGM says she didn't. All right, I'm thinking it's over. Dear listener, it was not over. Guess who I got a call from at 1 a.m. wanting to talk about our mutual guest? That's right. She got in touch with them and wanted to know if we could provide a refund due to failure to provide promised amenities. No, absolutely not. Either she read the booking wrong or the info is wrong on your site. But that was not our mistake. So I denied the refund, text my AGM that they try to get one, and go about my night. But just now, it's night 3, and guess who's calling me again, as I'm getting breakfast ready. As soon as they say the name, I immediately told her we wouldn't be doing a refund. I don't need to pull up the reservation, we aren't doing it. She got what she booked. And the audacity. If Suxpedia wants to refund her, they're more than welcome to, but we held up our end of the deal. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 169. Thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please hit the like button, and do subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do that by supporting me on my Patreon page. You sign up there for as little as $1 or more a month. Do so, you get early access to the videos on Monday. You can also buy yourself some merchandise, which is also linked in the description, and you can leave a tip for this or any other video by clicking on the heart with a $sign underneath. Okay, no more business, so let's move on to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, whenever you go shopping to buy groceries and such, is there anything you always pick up as a little treat when you remember to? I always try to get myself something when I've done, just as a reward for being a good boy and buying myself food, which I will then eat. So, it's a redundant reward. But I usually like to pick up a snack of some kind, so either a pork pie or a Scotch egg. Lately, I've made it my mission that whenever I'm in a new shop, try the Scotch eggs, because almost all stores that sell food in the UK will have a Scotch egg of some kind. There recently was a new Spar store that opened near me, which was very, very confusing. When I first saw it, I was looking for something, then I saw Spar, and then it was my location. I was like, wait a minute, that's where I used to work. Why does it say that? It's not a Spar anymore. It changed to a ScotMed years ago, and as far as I know, it's still a ScotMed. I'm not really over that way much. turns out what happened is the address is correct. And the building across the street used to be a pub. It was a pub for years, kept changing hands. They couldn't find anyone to keep it long enough. And a couple of people have bought that and turned that into a convenience store. So I'm going to have to go and check it out, do my nosy. It opened last year, but as I say, I'm not usually past that way too frequently. So I had no idea until I saw that. And my old bosses must be very concerned that there is a business that does the exact same thing they do right across from them that's got the name that their old business used to have. For folks who don't know, I mean, as far as I know, there's Spar stores all over the world in various countries, but it's a franchise thing. So you can have different people can own them. I used to work for a company called Botterill's Convenience Stores, who then sold their business to the Scottish Midland Cooperative, not to be mistaken for Co-op, although they are very loosely affiliated. I think they're supplied by the same people. I think maybe like, say how like McDonald's isn't all necessarily owned by McDonald's. It could be owned by an individual franchisee. Well, these folks own at least one. I think they actually own more than one Spar stores. So I'll have to wander over there, maybe tomorrow when I get done with work. I always try to prioritize work before I go out if I can. And do my nosy and try their Scotch eggs. Let me know what you think in a comment below. I went on for a bit there, didn't I? And before we go, let's take a look at the answer of the day from a previous video. And this one comes from Coahw 168, and it was, what is the most tedious decorative flourish you've ever given your house? I mentioned how I went to the trouble of painting all the in-between spaces on the bricks black, because it actually made all the bricks pop and it looked quite nice. I am actually tempted, because they've resurfaced the houses, many years ago it was now, but since I did, they've resurfaced the houses, and the bricks aren't exposed anymore. It's all been kind of smoothed over, but I'm tempted to kind of paint bricks in. I'm sure I can probably get like a paint roller that would do the effect for me if I really, really wanted it. It just depends how much I want it. But today's answer comes from Moonlight. Oh, I've done lots of tedious things through the years in the process of making my spaces look good. But wallpapering the ceiling in my kitchen, hands down the best and most tedious thing I've ever done. It was a perfectly, not so perfect, smooth surface. Cooking discoloration showed up pretty fast after painting. I decided wallpapering it might look good. Used a textured paper. It looks similar to the old-fashioned square plates they used back in the day. It still looks amazing 10 years later. Interesting that you mention that. The ceiling in the room I'm in right now is wallpapered. Not very evenly in some places. And that was probably because my sister, who used to occupy this room when she was younger, put her foot down and wouldn't let my father Artex, because all the ceilings in my house are Artexed and I hate it. It's just so annoying to have to paint Artex. And have you ever tried removing it from walls? Don't. Just burn the house down and move. There was I know people still use Artex now, but there was a fad in like the 80s, 90s, where it was a thing in the UK. At least everything was getting Artexed. Thankfully, it's just a light stipple effect in my bedroom, which I actually painted kind of like a greyish black colour just after years of having the ceiling white. I painted that, and I'm so glad I did. It's so nice and comfy and warm. There's always been that part of me that loved black. I don't know why. It's something I like. So I went with the darker ceiling, and I'm glad I did. Only one in the house that is dark. I wouldn't do it to the others. Although I am often tempted, the next time I do have to look, you've probably heard me whining about painting with gloss, because I really hate painting. I especially hate painting with gloss on the doors and the skirtings, like the surrounds and everything. I'm thinking of doing them white, but doing the doors a darker colour. Might look nicer. Thank you very much for your answer, Moonlight. And with that, I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.